Everybody, it's great you all turn up for our graduation show. Thanks for that, means a lot. Now some of you in the audience may already appreciate this, but getting older is not much fun. I'm going to be 35 soon and still dyslexic. I'm going to need a hell of a blowjob on my birthday to blow out 53 candles. Can you still make a wish if you use a hairdryer? Now, kind of reminds me of my brother's 6th birthday party. My mum told him to blow out the candles, unaware that he'd taken a big mouthful of Smarties. All over the cake, the kids, everything and everywhere. And that is how my brother helped invent Pedal Dash. Now when I was younger, yes, I can still remember that, thanks. I was dragged up proper to be polite like. Kicking and screaming admittedly, but I can always remember my dad saying it was rude to speak with your mouth full. 1, people don't like to see it, and 2, pea shooters are far better things for kids to shoot food and stuff at people. Now he's in his 80s, he constantly speaks with his mouth full and it annoys the hell out of me. But you can't exactly send your dad to bed without his dessert, can you? And then I realised, sat at the dinner table the other night, if he doesn't say what's on his mind, he'll probably forget what he wanted to say. The fact that he keeps repeating it though is rather annoying. And I just hope I don't get like him at his age and speak with a mouthful. The fact that he keeps repeating himself is still rather annoying though. And I'm not sure what the excuse was for my ex-wife, because sometimes she was so desperate to say something she couldn't wait to swallow. And if it was food, she'd do this. And it usually happened when she wanted to tell me I was wrong. Which as you can imagine, happened quite a bit. The fact that I only half understood what she was saying was just a bonus. And I do wonder if that's where the phrase talk to the hand comes from, because it certainly was in my wife's case. Now, as most of you have probably gathered, I was brought up in the 70s. And looking back on my childhood, I should be dead, along with most of my friends. When we spat in the eye of health and safety, pigs had more rights than we did. We were kicked out at 9 AM by our mums and not expected back till 5 PM. If anything had happened to us, a search party wouldn't have been sent out at least till 7 o'clock at night. We were given the emergency 10p piece for the call box, which we spent on comics, crisps and drink. Well, if there had been an emergency, we would have dialed 999 or reversed the charges. We were innocent, not stupid. We didn't wear cycle helmets back then. We all had basin haircuts. You didn't need a helmet. And playgrounds didn't have rubber or wood chip. We went down slides head first and hoped we had enough speed at the end to jump off and not hit your head on the concrete. We climbed trees and swung off rope ladders into polluted rivers and ponds. If you got a cut, you just dealt with it. It didn't matter that you bled all over your 4th generation hand-me-down clothes. It just meant you had to suffer a TCP bath when you got home. On a non-bath night. No! If you broke a limb, your friends would manage to get you home, much to the annoyance of your mum. Better that she suffered your dad's anger. And you wouldn't believe the amount of secondary smoke that we breathed in. Some of the places we went, you couldn't even see your hand in front of you. You didn't have to start smoking back then, you just couldn't give up. And we didn't have seatbelts. And I lost count of how many times I wished on my birthday that my brother would fly through the windscreen. It never happened. On family days out with other friends, I'd end up in the boot of the car with a dog and at least one other kid. And the dog would start humping one of you, much to the entertainment of the cars following. Asbestos, every school had some. PhD chemicals were a degree or two above anything you can get these days. And we ate toxic worms and earth. So according to the rules of Marvel and DC Comics, we should all be superheroes or mutants. How do you know we're not? But we didn't know the biggest threat that we faced, which we were exposed to every single day, was the BBC paedophiles. Jimmy certainly fixed it for himself. Great to head up the 80s seatbelt campaign. Clunk click every trip. I mean, that certainly means something different now, especially to those poor kids that were stuck in the hospital. Two little boys had two little toys. I bet they did, Ralph. And can you tell what it is yet? Well, it's not so hard these days, is it? Do you want to be in my gang, my gang, my gang? Do you want to be in my gang? Whoa! No, Gary, no. Now, you might be able to tell from my accent that I'm from the southwest. And we have funny ways of greeting people down in these here parts. I can always remember the first time I went to Bristol. Because I walked into a corner shop and was greeted with, "Eat me duck!" Which was rather confusing for a 17-year-old lad from Plymouth. Because I couldn't see a duck, nor anything to bash my head on. Where's the duck? Ah! That's how we greet people down in these here parts, innit? So I did some research. And it turns out that back in Anglo-Saxon days, they must have had some very low doorways in Bristol, because duck was pronounced Duckus Jurasis, which roughly translates as respect your head. Now in Plymouth, we greet people with "Eat me liver," which probably sounds a bit more confusing than using duck. But bear in mind, Plymouth is an international seaport, so you never know who you're going to meet or if your luck's in. So you might as well give them a heads up that you're open to offers. So "Eat me lover" suddenly makes much more sense. I found that I got some Irish in me the other week. I've been drinking Guinness all day. Now, I saw a post on Facebook and I wondered if anybody else had picked it up because it was for mind readers. Brilliant, thanks for that. That song's been bugging me for days. I finally got Kylie's song out of my head. That's the song, not Kylie, obviously. Now, it can be very confusing and interesting living with dyslexia. The other day, I walked into a cafe and asked for an LGBT sarnie. Fortunately, they gave me a BLT with a small pot of gravy. I went to a park and saw a sign that I thought said, "All gods must be kept under control at all times." And I thought, wow man, what kind of a park is this? And how do you police that? Dogs. I bought some fuck food for the ducks in Bristol and visited a wank to pay a check-in and a pharmacy to pick up my own description. Now, the rule of sex, 6 even, really screwed my head up, because I kept seeing and hearing it, as you can hear, as the rule of sex. So under government guidance, I joined an adult dating site, and in the profile I wrote I had a 51 centimetre long dick. I got loads of requests for a dick pic, to which I replied, sorry for any incontinence caused. It should have been 15 centimetres, 6 inches in old money. But on the plus side, I did manage to meet up with one of them. I came across her on the park. She said that was a bit premature. Now I see some of you could see that coming. And contactless cards. I wish they said what they did on the tin and actually not charge me. Have you heard that the Duke of Edinburgh is undergoing some revolutionary new checks? They're actually going to let him drive a car to see if he can pass the Cummings test. And talking of royalty, Princess Latifah, as Jay's already said, is all over the news. I mean, leads a Disney-style lifestyle. She's one of 25 kids of the ruler of Dubai. And you wouldn't have thought he would miss one or two of them. Abdul, which one is she? Number 6, sir. Now, in 2017, she escaped from Dubai and her father on a yacht, sailing across the vast Indian Ocean. Yes, a yacht. Shock horror. 8 days later, they caught her, or some people say kidnapped her, and took her back to Dubai. Amid international concerns, her stepmother, I told you it was a Disney lifestyle, arranged for a photo shoot to prove everything was all okay. The same stepmother that flies on a broomstick to the UK to ask for political asylum. Now, the Dubai government has recently said that the princess is in safe hands of her family that kidnapped her. So basically all she needs to do is grow her hair or find a magic lantern that she can rub, and she could live happily ever after. Now, Coronation Street actors have had a bit of a hard time the last week. Johnny Briggs has died. No, not the train robber, the actor that played Mike Baldwin. And Frank Mills has also died. So Ken Barlow better watch out. Coronation Street is 60 years old. It's the bubble bath of all soaps. The Three Ducks on the Wall, and Hilda's rollers, and Jack Duckworth's glasses were held together with the same bit of plaster for 10 years. All good, gentle northern fun. And then along comes EastEnders and takes soaps to a whole different, dirty, new, depressing level. I need antidepressants to even just try and watch one of them. But real life is much more fun. Sex was always good for the soaps, and the police in Derbyshire were called to a car that was parked up with a man, I'll put my teeth back in, that was asleep. They reported he was in a complete state of nature. Apparently he got lost on a vital journey to buy some wet wipes. Now I wonder what he wanted those for. But he couldn't explain why he was in a complete state of nature. So they fined him £200. Drug stories are always appearing in soaps. But you're not going to be able to beat this one. A man in Birmingham was arrested because he was dealing in alligator heads, which he sold around the world on eBay. I mean, you couldn't make it up. Animal stories are always good for soaps and their ratings, and my dyslexia may get in the way of this, but Dave the Duck was having fun for 10 times a day with Shaz and Tracy, and then he got injured doing his ducking, and then that got infected, so the vet prescribed him antibiotics and told the owner that he needed to bathe Dave's manhood every day. Now we're all thinking it, how the hell do you do that? And Dave carried on doing what Dave liked best, and the infection got worse. So to make Dave's life more comfortable, they decided to remove his manhood. I mean, surely the more comfortable thing to do for Dave would have been to keep him away from them slags, Shaz and Tracy, and let him recover so that he could enjoy a comfortable fucking life. Con artists have always been coming in and out of soaps, and Deirdre should have tried this one. An American couple, Pam and Edward, announced they were going to get married and asked for donations towards their big wedding day. They raised over £21,000. But about a week before the wedding day, amongst many tears apparently, they called off the wedding and kept the money to go on honeymoon to recover from the shock. Now, some of Pam's friends threatened to sue her, but she pointed out that legally you don't have to give back any donations. So life is much more fun. It's a bit like having a nice relaxing bath where you can have fun with the bubbles. And some of my friends are suffering with homeschooling. Apparently trying to teach maths has driven them to drink. It's all changed since we were at school, and some of them are on a course of Valium and a course to teach maths. It was too complicated apparently back in my day. But if it wasn't so easy, how come I got an O level in maths? I must thank my maths teacher for banging that into me, and that didn't come out quite right. He wasn't a paedophile, he was just a bloody good shot with a blackboard rubber and a black belt in using the 1 metre wooden ruler. I was too scared not to learn anything. And I just hope the pupils that are going back to school these days have got much more respect for their teachers, which their parents probably will have. Now, I've got to thank lockdown because my road rage has improved. I haven't been using the car, but I am terribly suffering from other rages. Mask rage, enough said. And Boris rage is done more twists and turns than Lulu. Polite rage, for God's sake, it's just 2 words. Thank you. What is so bloody difficult about using that when I get out your way in Tesco's? Is it too much of a mouthful for you? Just swallow your selfish pride, you ignorant bastard. And bell rage. Lycra dicks on bikes. Will you please let me know that you're coming? Ring your bell. Ring your bells. Ring your bell. You're not in your BMWs now, you arrogant bloody wankers. And scooter rage. Don't even push me on that one. I mean, my therapist just thinks I'm raging, which made me feel really angry, just fucking almost bloody enraged. And I think I better stop now. So, try and stay safe, and try not to get enraged. And thank you very much for coming. Hope you enjoy that. It's been a pleasure.